Hey, I'm back, everyone. Welcome to part 3. We got the terrain piece here on a little plastic bag I cut open. I'm going to start gooping it. This is the recipe I've gotten from the Campbellian, I think his name is. He's a guy from up in Canada. My mother's a Canadian, or was a Canadian. And also Rubbish In, Rubbish Out. I watched a lot of his videos that got these ideas. This is, right now we're just starting this little cocktail glass. An even mix of some white glue and some DAP acrylic latex caulking. And I just got equal parts of each of those. Take a stick, stir that up. I'll get this mixed really good together. And we want this spreadable, so this is a little bit too thick as it is. And I'm add a little bit of this Santa Cruz beach sand. I love this stuff. It's a lot, like I said, it's a really hot, fine, powdery sand. I want it to have a nice texture to it, but not too gritty. I can add sand later to it with some PVA glue to adding those points where I'm going to put in rubble and a little rougher texture, but I want to give this a nice fine texture to the whole, give it a whole base. And we'll do layering from there. And this got some cheap plaster of Paris. I don't feel like going down in the garage right now. It is freezing cold here in Northern California. So much for global warming. So I'm gonna also, I got a little spray bottle of water to get this, start thinning this out. And we'll mix that together. Now I want to make sure you mix the glue and the latex caulking first. If you don't do that, you'll get lumps and it'll get a weird texture to it that you can't spread. It starts clumping, and you don't want that. So that looks pretty good so far. I'm going to mix this and not bore you to death and keep these videos to a minimum. I'll be back when I get this done and get ready to spread it on. Thanks. We're still mixing. You see, I got a really good mixture. It's got the plaster, it's got the Santa Cruz beach sand, and obviously the caulking, the glue, and the water. It's still kind of thick, but I want to get some color to this. I have a big bottle of iron oxide black from Douglas and Sturgis. They're not too far from my home in Northern California, and I think this whole thing was like maybe $8, and I don't know how much this is. Oh, it's a whole pound. This will last the rest of my life probably. I don't know if you do enough terrain projects. That's probably about maybe a half a teaspoon I'm throwing in there. Let's see what that looks like. Almost looks like cookies and cream. I don't know how that's going to darken it or not. Probably be better with some ink. Let's do some more. You guys are experimenting here with me. I just thought, hey, why not? Can't hurt it. There we go. And now, I'm sorry about not being in the camera there. It's starting to get a nice little gray color to it. Let's hit it with some more water. It's starting to start thickening up. That plaster is going to start setting. And let's do a little more of this. Yeah, there we go. It's a nice dark gray now. Well, I'm going to get this mixed up. I think I'm going to leave it at that color right there. It's a nice solid gray color. Let's just do a little more in there. I'm going to stop it right here and come back and see what we end up with before I start slapping it on. Thanks. Okay, I'm back, everyone, with the goop ready to go. I think I got it thinned down enough. I don't want to take away the detail, but I want to protect everything and give everything excuse my bump in the camera there, a nice protective coating. Let's see how this stuff throws on. We got a little bit of the black didn't really mix in that well, but that's okay. I'm going to have to thin this out a little bit more probably. Let's see how this, we don't lose too much of the detail. It goes on like a really thick acrylic craft paint actually. Like those big bottles you get at Walmart. It's a real strong smell. I believe it's the acrylic caulking. If you get a little more of a chemical smell. Just kind of goop it on this area, so we want to fill those in to kind of smooth that out. Let's see how it works on here. Probably want to smooth this or water this down a little bit more. Go from there. Let's see. And what we could probably do is, if it gets too lumpy or anything, I come in and sand it down too. Because we want to make sure we don't lose all the detail. So we keep thinning it, spread it nice and thin. Try to get in those grooves and cracks. It's weird, I mixed this thing pretty thoroughly and I'm getting all kinds of strange colors. This is fine though, because obviously this is just a protective base coat, and it may add some interest to it, but we're going to hit it with probably a polyurethane primer from Vallejo before we start hitting the paint onto this thing. And then we might use this again. I'm still doing the rubble piles with the filler, but I want to have a nice little base to work from and get some of these details protected and know where I'm going from here. But I'm going to get this all finished up, and I'll be back and show you what it looks like. Thanks. Well, we're back, and hopefully this Goop experiment will work. I'm going to let this dry overnight. You can see the colors. It was weird to mix that dry pigment, but that's not a big deal because this is a base protection thing. Then we're going to be spraying it again. Probably go over the middle with some more glue. I was afraid of obscuring too much of the detail down there. But I did the rim of it pretty thoroughly, and got some on the building. Just thinned out the with a brush with some water and spread that off, and it'll add a little more texture to it because this is like, you know, a beaten up ruin. So the more damage, the better. I did use some of the Goop, just kind of filled it in. Let's see if we don't take you off the stand right real quick. And these corners by the corners, where you have that foundation piece, I kind of will try to fill that in a little bit. We had some gaps on this back side, and just kind of let it drip in there and let it dry. We'll probably put some sand and stuff in there later. But I think this is pretty good. I hope we didn't obscure the detail too much. We can probably sand it lightly and go in there and with something to score the tile again to bring back that detail again. And we're not sure what we're doing anyways. We might put more layers of rubble on this, and I think this is a good way to start, and protect it thoroughly too. So it's not gonna, if it chips, it'll be harder to chip it with the Goop on it, and it's a dark Goop too. So if the paint comes off, you're gonna have this dark undercoat, even under the primer, which will be black too. So let's do another little pass of it right now. It's looking pretty cool. Let's get down there. It's starting to turn out pretty nice. So that'll be it for right now, people. And I thank you for joining me as always, and see you soon. Well, I'm back. Real quick. It's only been about an hour and a half, and this stuff is basically dry. There's a couple little cracks around the crater that got filled in, and I probably around the back of the building. Yeah, there's still some moisture back there. But this is bone dry, nice and hard. We didn't lose the detail here. Actually, these 1-inch squares are perfect. They fit these 25mm bases nicely. Got a little orc boy and a standard little space marine dude right there. And the steps, kind of designed it to fit troops. And obviously you could probably fit easily 2 tactical squads on this, no problem. so it's very playable. And that'll be it for right now. We'll probably come back tomorrow. We're going to hit it probably with the polyurethane primer, then hit it with another spray primer again, just to give it a couple coats of protection. Polyurethane, or actually, take that back. Probably going to do some of the rubble piles first, and reinforce those with glue. I'm still trying to get my method down, and so far I've been lucky. Each time I change it around, it does come out pretty good. But I want to make it a piece that you can take with you somewhere if you want to take it to a game store, or if it falls off the table, it's not going to be shattering in a million pieces, and people knocking their miniatures around on it, especially metal ones, aren't going to be chipping it. So I want to make a good quality piece that holds together and has a lot of interest to it. And that'll be it for tonight, and thanks again for joining me. See you soon. Hey, we're back. It's been about 8 to 9 hours since I last showed the terrain piece with the colored goop on it. Actually, the goop is almost solid. It's still got a little... Yeah, no, it's not. It's got a lot of moisture in it, so it's still actually usable. But the terrain piece turned out pretty nice. We're going to start going into, in the next section, when I come back, start doing the filler and doing the coffee ground rubble from the sprue. And then we'll seal that in, or maybe before we seal that in, we'll go in over where the goop is and maybe sand some of it down if we need to. I do kind of like the texture it left, but we'll see how that is when we do the rubble and filler, and then we'll go from there. Thanks for joining me. Hey everyone, I'm back. I'm going to start doing the rubble piles now. I'm just using the old water from the goop, and actually I have some goop. It started a film on it, but I think I'm going to try to reinforce the spackling. That's using this Drydex, that pink spackling. It turns white when it dries. And then we're going to impregnate it with the rubble. And let's start going at it. You guys see me with the, was it the Sanctum Imperialis? When I did that, you just use a little glob and just fill it in. You can later on come in with water to smooth it out. Go. Let's just build this up, give it some more interest. Actually, this putty knife I'm using is useless. This is more for shaping than digging it out. Then you see, use the water, get the putty knife wet, and it helps spread this out a little bit. You can press this in the areas. This is more what we need right here. There. Let's go in here with the water again, start feathering it down. It's okay to have some chunks because you want texture, but you want this to be like believable, like this is all a bunch of dirt and rubble that got pushed up or fell. Then we start going in with the these things. Excuse me. Sorry about that, battery died. Just did a quick change on that. As I was saying, just have fun with this. Just add your little pieces and chunks, because this is going to be dry brushing and airbrushing and all kinds of fun things to do this afterwards. Let's do another section right here. I don't want to bore you with all the details of this. Some people like to see someone's technique in action, which I'm not an expert or anything, but I have fun doing it. blob there. Start putting chunks in. And the better the anchor, that even makes it a little bit better too. And in the bottom of this stuff, you get like almost a sand. You can sprinkle it on there too. Not a sand, it's obviously a powdered plastic from the coffee grinder. Or maybe not. I got a new coffee grinder. I've said in previous videos I had one explode on me, or not really explode, but the plastic shot through the side of it and caused some shrapnel. So I got this new one. Looked a little more heavy duty, but it doesn't grind as well. But it does okay. Pieces to stick in. Put a little bit right here. And it's okay if you make a mess, because we just did that goop thing. It's not our final primer that we're doing. And remember, take your wet palette knife, just kind of feather it all in, and start putting junk in there. And some of it might come loose later. That's fine. We can always replace it or just leave it go. And like I said, it looks hodgepodgey till you hit it with a primer, and then when you dry brush it, it looks pretty nice. So I think that's what I'm going to do for right now. I'm going to get back to it, let this dry, see how it turns out. When I come back, it'll be morning, so it'll be a few seconds for you. We'll see how well it's all holding together. Then we'll figure some way to reinforce it. Then we're going to get some sand on this too, some places. We don't really need a lot of it. That goop, I put that Santa Cruz Beach sand in it, and it gave it a really good texture already. But I want to do some other parts maybe around the rubble pile, so it looks like smaller pieces of rubble got away from it. So that'll be it, as usual. Thank you for joining me. We'll see you soon. Hey, I'm back, everyone. I let those couple sections up front dry that I did on camera last night, and then I added a couple more just a few minutes ago, just to add some more interest to it. Not too much. You still want it very playable, but plausible. I guess that's the trade-off in making wargaming terrain, because we just have it. This building, if it was every bit of it. Of its destruction left on that thing, it'd just be a big pile. There wouldn't be any room for miniatures to stand on this thing. So I think it looks pretty good right now. We're going to let it dry right now. Then I'm going to come in with some watered down PVA or alcohol down PVA, do some detail in the rubble, and add some sand around it to give it some more texture and some more interest. Then we'll let that dry, then come in and seal it again with some PVA over all the rubble. Then we're going to come in with a Vallejo primer, prime it all up again and get that section all sealed up. And then probably start doing some gray primer on the building itself. I'm not sure the colors I'm going with yet. I want to do something different, and also I want to get some of that AK-47 chipping fluid working on this. So I'll do maybe a light building with a darker undercoat, so that'll chip out. It'll give it a little more interest, and that'll be it for right now. So I'll let this dry. I don't know how long it'll take up here. It's about 80 degrees in my studio, so it should be not too bad. And then we'll seal this up and go from there. Thanks for joining me. Hey, I'm back, everyone. I finished sanding it, but we're wetting that dry right now. It's all over the place. And see, we're getting that hodgepodge look again with the weird colored sand against the black goop, and we got the pieces of sprue sticking out of the white lumps. That'll all come together when we prime it. I'm going to let this dry for a while. Then I'll come back and show you how I seal it. It's no big deal. I'm just going to take it in a garbage bag, shake out all the loose sand and everything, and save that for another project. Then we'll go in with some watered down PVA or alcohol PVA, I'm not sure yet, and seal all of it nice, give it a nice thick coat to protect it. And then we'll be finished with this series of, I guess we call this texturing and sealing. I guess that's a good way to call it. And then we'll go to the prime. And then there'll be basically a black primer. Then we're going to do some pre-shading on the building parts because there's going to be a lighter color. And I'm still not sure what I'm going to do with the tile, but we'll discuss that in the upcoming videos. And thanks again for joining me. Okay, I'm back, everyone. I let it dry for, I don't know, about an hour or so. And I'm going to come in here with a plastic paper shredder bag. That's what I used in my office up here. And just get rid of all the excess sand. Give it a good shake. And we can save the sand. There's not that much left, but tap it everywhere. Yeah, let's give it a good tap too, just to make just to get everything that's loose. There. There. Starting to come together still. So we'll just save this bag if we're dumping other stuff, and eventually we'll put that back in the sanding thing. And I'm just going to grab like one of my cheaper brushes. Whatever that. And just basically go in and flood all the sand areas and the rubble areas with this mixture. This is PVA and alcohol. I usually put the alcohol in first and start adding PVA to it. It breaks it down easier, and it seems like almost a clear glue right now. And it dries a little bit faster that way, and it's a little easier to work with too. And this does not have to be a clean or neat job. Just try to slop this on. Remember, we're going to prime over it. You want to get this nice and protected because this is designed for, for gameplay, not just display and put it on a shelf. And I'm going to finish this up. Not going to bore you and waste your valuable time throwing glue on sand. So I'll be back soon. Thanks. Hey, I'm back once again. I did the PVA saturation of all the rubble areas and the sand. Also, I had a lot left over. Went over all the strip foam core sections and reinforced those. And anywhere where the pink extruded polystyrene is exposed to, I painted over that too, give it a little extra reinforcement. So that is it for this portion of the video series. We'll be going on to priming, and that'll be a short one, then painting, then the detailing. Thanks again for joining me, and see you soon. Thanks.